Chapter 3, The First Butterflies. Love is coming. Are you ready? I woke up very late on a Saturday morning. I wasn't excited at all. I saw a message on my phone coming from the lawyer. It read, "We'll go paragliding in an hour. You are welcome to join us." The message was sent hours past already. I replied, apologizing as I've read it late. Also, even if I read it earlier, I didn't think I would join them because there was a Filipina whom I met days ago in the town. I told her that I could show her the town. However, if he had time, I wanted to do my laundry again at his apartment as I was about to visit Dubai. Later that day, I asked the other Filipina to go to the shopping mall. We already walked a lot because we went to see the river in the town. We directly went to the food court. I had a problem with my eyesight, but surprisingly, I saw someone standing up from his seat and waving his hand at me. From that very moment, I already knew who he was. I ran towards him unconsciously. Then we hugged each other. We hung out many times before, but that was the first time we hugged each other. The very first time I hugged the lawyer. He was with his two friends whom I already met before. They were Ryan and Ella. They just came back from where they did paragliding. We talked a little bit, and I introduced to them the Filipina woman I was with. I was smiling the whole time, my heart was. After so many months, I had butterflies in my stomach that I couldn't even contain. I bade them goodbye as I had to stay with the Filipina woman at the other table. I just told him that I replied to his message, but he hadn't seen it yet. While I was ordering food from the counter, I couldn't stop the happiness in my heart. I remembered the feeling when I was still a high school student. There were times I sneaked out of the classroom just to pass by in the classroom where my crush was in. Even the time that I was already eating on the other table, I couldn't stop smiling until I went back home. Not long after, he called me through WhatsApp. I told him that I hadn't seen the beauty of the town until that day. I set out to show the town to the Filipina woman, but I ended up appreciating the beauty of the town probably because I hadn't seen most parts of it before. Then, I reminded him about my laundry problem. He told me that I could come to his apartment the following day. I only needed to send him a message or call him beforehand. We ended the call, and I sat down on the sofa. I started crying again. But this time around, my eyes were filled with tears of joy. I told my God, "Thank you." I said, "Thank you," because I really thought that I wouldn't experience that feeling of love again. I said, "Thank you," because I was so numb for many months until someone waved his hand on me. However, I told myself that I wouldn't take it seriously in the sense that he's a lawyer, and I respected him so much. I felt that I shouldn't allow myself to give the feeling a chance to grow. Little do we know that love catches us in a circumstance we don't even think it's possible. There are times that when love starts to grow, it grows on its own. Butterflies just begin to fly without apprising us. Love only comes out unexpectedly. After that day, I sent him a message that I was ready to do the laundry. He called me to wait for some time. As I still had time, I met with that Filipino woman again, and we walked to the center of the town. On that day, I really planned to meet the Filipino woman because I wanted to seek her help. As for me, the lawyer already helped me a lot. So, I intended to cook for him in his apartment while I was waiting to finish the laundry. The Filipino woman agreed. However, it took a lot of time for him to call me back because he was running some errands. I just told myself that I'd just cook for him next time. Hours passed by, and he finally called me. He asked my whereabouts. And when he told me that he was about to be there, my heart started pounding. I was still with the Filipino woman. Then, I saw him walking towards me. He got out of his car. I met him halfway, and at the back of my mind, I was waiting for him to hug me. Actually, he didn't. And it was kind of fiddly to do it at that moment. He was smiling in front of me, and that made my heart to pound so fast. He took me to the house where I was staying to get my laundry. When we got to his apartment, he just asked me to do the laundry on my own as he needed to go somewhere. After he left, the Filipina kept asking me about our status, and I also kept telling her that we were just friends. He's just a friendly person, I told her. A few hours later, I took the Filipino woman back to her place. Then, I went back to the lawyer's apartment. It was already evening. When he returned to his apartment, he saw me watching a horror movie. There was a nasty scene that I couldn't afford to watch. He was smiling just by watching my reaction to the scene. It was also the first time I heard him say, SHT, though it was because of the awful scene that we were watching. Not quite surprised, but I felt bizarre hearing him say that word, maybe because I respected him a lot and I considered him too decent to utter such. After doing my laundry, he took me back home. I said my thanks and bade him goodbye plus, of course, a good night. As I always had a lot of laundries, I had to come back to his apartment the next day. When I told him that I was ready to go, he replied that he left his apartment open for me. He also told me that he was sorry for yesterday because he called me back so late. The more I respected him. While I was waiting for my laundry, I saw used dishes in his kitchen. And so, I cleaned them because it had been a day already since the dishes weren't washed. I saw them yesterday. Hours later, he called me on the phone and asked if I wanted some food to eat as he was going to the mall. I told him to buy chicken with fries for me as I didn't want to decline his offer. When he arrived, he saw me sitting on a chair in front of the table. He gave the food to me, and I told him to start eating as I wasn't hungry yet. We talked about our travels and some of the people he used to accommodate and host. I read the reviews about him on a travel app, and I couldn't stop myself from laughing at some point. The reviews were so nice, and there was even a guy who said that, if you visit the town, you should see him. It was as if he was the tourist spot of the town, but I totally agreed. A few minutes later, he left the apartment. I went home alone by taxi, bringing the other key that he allowed me to borrow. I sent him an appreciation message, and he responded a little bit later. He also thanked me for washing his dishes. The following day was my last day in the town before I left for the UAE. I went to the salon, then to the mall. Almost late in the afternoon, I sent him a message that I was in the center of the town. I wanted to give back his key. He told me that I could just go to his office. He was about to finish his work. When I reached his office, I entered inside, and then I went outside. I was ashamed. It also happened that when I arrived at his office, I lost my internet connection. I left his office and went to an exchange office just meters away. I had to exchange my money as I'd be heading to the UAE the next day. Then, I went back to his office. In the middle of the street, I saw him walking towards me, talking from his phone, wearing a blue suit. He looked so decent and elegant. I looked at myself. I was just wearing black shorts and a red crop top. I felt so embarrassed. When he was already in front of me, he smiled at me again, and he asked why I didn't enter his office. I told him I did, but I got out directly. I handed him the key. Then, he asked me if I could go with him in his car to get his wallet because he wanted to buy ice cream. When we were in the ice cream store, he told me that it was my time to speak Romanian. I said, yes. He was teasing me while I was talking in Romanian. So, I unconsciously hit him, and he laughed. When we both had ice cream, he walked with me till we reached the end of the road leading to my home. As this happened late August, summer, I usually have scratches on my skin. Before we bade each other goodbye, he told me, "Enjoy your time in Dubai." He then looked at my scratches near my left arm. My embarrassment went to its utmost. But I found myself smiling the whole time I was walking back home. When I arrived, I sat on the sofa. I cried again. I cried because it had been such a long time and I didn't see myself smiling like that. I never really thought I could smile like that again. However, I told myself that I wouldn't take it seriously as I respected him so much. I felt like I needed to be genuine with him about my friendship. I believe respect produces love. Love gives us happiness. Happiness makes us smile that touches from the very depth of our human soul. It never leaves us until we'll finally acknowledge that love is already there, growing every day.